All right, free radicals, welcome back. My name is Dave, feeling a bit red pilled, black pilled, feeling just like there's no solution to the political problem. And this is one of the reasons that even though I do this channel at times, there's no content that I can provide that is going to wake anybody up, because there are people that do it better than me, and I listen to them and then I come back really frustrated. So the reason I'm saying that is because the other day I did this video, pretty passionate video about RFK Jr., and then someone sent me a link. And typically, when I start to like something, people tend to tell me, don't like that. Here's why you shouldn't like that. And so, I'm a free thinking person. I think I'm pretty well informed on the issues. And lo and behold, Dr. Shiva comes along and he does a video. And if you don't know who Dr. Shiva is, I think he's probably the biggest disruptor on the political scene right now. He's running for president as an independent. I just found this out. So if you want someone who's truly not going to be part of the system, listen to what Dr. Shiva says here. I'm just going to play the audio and hopefully you'll be able to hear it.
It's all local. We have to support our local farmers, eat local foods, and eat it on a budget. People like Donald Trump and Kennedy, they're eating pasture-raised, grass-fed, beautiful, organic, biodynamic, regenerative farming foods. Donald Trump doesn't just eat McDonald's all the way. That's all theater. Kennedy doesn't really care about you because he's had a big time to take a ton of money for his nonprofits, and these are the results he's delivered. Stop trusting him. The Kennedys are the last people you should trust. It was John Kennedy who created the 1962 Vaccination Act based on old science. It was his brother, Ted Kennedy, who then implemented the 1986 Vaccine Injury Program, which shielded pharma companies. And now you have this fool, Robert Kennedy, running around, who was pro-lockdown, go look at the videos, who wants to vaccinate everyone, who endorsed Hillary Clinton 3 times as early as 2016. And Hillary, we should call her Villery. Hillary Clinton is pro-Monsanto.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. There's truth. There's a lot of truth here in what he's saying. One thing about Dr. Shiva is he explains this not so obvious establishment in a lot of the videos he does. And it's almost like, okay, Dr. Shiva, who do you like? I mean, is there anybody you could work with? If you became president, how would you be able to interact with the Congress? What could you do? And maybe at that point, you hold everybody hostage. You say, until you get back to voting the right way on things like, starting a war, I'm not gonna sign off on it. But somebody like this guy, like Trump is a disruptor. Bernie was a little bit of a disruptor. Some people think RFK Jr. is a disruptor. Hearing from Dr. Shiva, it doesn't seem maybe that RFK Jr. has a leg to stand on, because he's such a new convert and people aren't going to trust what he's saying. I mean, if he was pro-lockdown and, he was real. I mean, I thought he'd been researching this stuff for a very long time, because supposedly he had a meeting with Trump in 2016, and Trump, because he got money from Pfizer, told him to go pound sand. And here we are, and I'm at the point where I listen to this guy, and he's brilliant. He's MIT. He's got degrees all over the place, PhDs and so forth. And he understands systems. He talks a lot about systems. He talks way over my head. And I'm just kind of like this, I don't know, a rube compared to some of these people who come along and are really smart. All I know is I don't want war. All right. I'm tired of war. I'm tired of the government telling me what medications I'm supposed to take to protect people who should be protected, because if the medications are so good, then if they take them, they'll be protected. So why do I have to do anything in order for them to be protected? Well, it only works if everybody does it. Well, that's crazy logic. Then it doesn't really work. That's what you're saying. It doesn't really work. If it worked, then we wouldn't have to all just walk in lockstep. And, more and more people are becoming uncensored on different platforms now because they're slowly recognizing that this is a joke. But getting back to what Dr. Shiva is saying here, I mean, he makes some very important points, and I know he's got a vendetta against RFK Jr. I think he sued him a few years ago. Let's pick this up again, and I'll play a little bit more, and then I'll stop it again.
She had one of the leaders of Monsanto run her campaign, and she's pro-vaccine mandates. And then in 2020, Robert F. Kennedy supported his nephew for U.S. Senate, who was rabidly pro-vaccine mandates. So you see, the establishment has gotten very clever because they know that you have become fat, dumb, and lazy and are not exercising your rights as Americans, which is a Bill of Rights. They know that you want to outsource your future one day to an Obama because he talks about hope and he has good lighting and he does a talk. The next day, Trump, Trump's a businessman. Great businessman, I'm going to vote for him. So a bunch of people over here voted for Obama, then go to Trump. Well, Trump is no longer there. I got to go now to Kennedy or DeSantis. You see, they got you moving around like, the little laser pointer on the wall and you're running around like stupid cats.
All right, so I have this, now I just visualize that I'm following the laser pointer really fast as a cat. Again, I don't know what I could disagree with here. I mean, this is the most based take, and it just throws political parties out the window. You don't have to be part of a political party. You can just want to fix the problem. You could say, Republicans are better than Democrats on these issues, and Democrats are all really bad. But there are a lot of Republicans that enable or look the other way or don't want to talk about things. Now, I don't know Dr. Shiva's views on every topic. But again, his analysis I think right here is extraordinary, and it's like very blunt. And I think we need this kind of debate. I wish we could elevate the debate in politics to where this person is, and then, we could kick around ideas on how to fix things.
And they know that they have degenerated you because of the graph I showed you earlier, because of all the unhealthy foods and the unhealthy processes and the stress and the complete subjugation of you as a human being, the suffering. They know they're just going to do this to you.
All right. Now, the graph that he's talking about, life expectancy in the United States. In fact, in other countries, the life expectancy takes a dip during COVID, takes a little dip, and then kind of starts to go back up. Not here in the United States. It actually continues. The graph continues to go down. So he's telling you this is a failure of all of these systems, all of these institutions. It's frightening because, I mean, it dropped like 4 years. It's like 76.1 is the new normal for life expectancy here in the United States.
And I will not allow that because I never forgot where I came from. I came from poor farmers in India and working class people in New Jersey. And because of all the knowledge I was afforded, I'm committed to fighting these bastards. They're evil. And the purpose of life is to fight evil.
There you go. The purpose of life is to fight evil. Who can't get behind that? The good versus evil argument. A lot of people are waking up to the fact that even if they're not spiritual, they could see there's a darkness. And look, you can measure the darkness however you want to. You can look at the culture war. And some will say, well, that's a distraction. I think it's gotten bigger than a distraction. I think it's close to an emergency at this point if people can't agree on biology. If you can't agree on just a simple concept, men, women, you can't agree on that, then as a starting point to say, hey, do we have commonality? Nope. So anyway, I'm going to play a little bit more of this because I think this is very enlightening. Hopefully, he's not going to ding me for copyright here just because I'm using some of his audio.
Now, how do we fight evil? Well, first of all, you have to raise your consciousness. You have to stop being that cat following the laser pointer. One day Obama, one day Trump. Now I'm going to jump in the bed with Kennedy. It's like a whore jumping from bed to bed to bed. Is that what you want to be?
Wow. See, and that's the kind of blunt language that a lot of people who support Donald Trump really like. But here's a guy who's not using a teleprompter, obviously, in this video. He's speaking off the cuff. He accidentally called Hillary Villary, kind of like villain Hillary, I guess. That's the way you put those two words together. But he's not just talking, he's got ideas. If you go to his website, which again is vashiva.com, he does town hall meetings. He talks about your immune system, like strengthening your immune system. His idea here, his slogan is truth, freedom, and health. Truth, freedom, and health. And honestly, those are the three most important things that I can think of. So this is not stupid. I looked at Dr. Shiva a couple of years ago, and I kind of gave up on it because I'm like, this just got, he's too complicated. It's too cerebral for me. There's too much going on. But I'm thinking, if you're going to go down in flames, right? My theory is this, that the establishment, the not so obvious establishment, and the establishment, as he likes to call it, they will collude to completely annihilate this guy. They won't let this guy. I mean, he's already getting shadow banned on Twitter. People try to follow him, and this is with Elon Musk in charge, right? I don't know if that portal has completely closed. I mean, he may have whistle blown the fact that prior to him getting there, that it was a free-for-all and it was an open playground for the CIA or whoever else to kind of just do information harvesting. But it's still going on, according to Dr. Shiva. And here's a guy who just smartly doesn't trust anyone. Let's listen to this a little bit more.
Do you want to be a used whore? Do you want to be codependent? Or do you want to exercise your essence as a human being with other people, working people, and recognize that no one is going to talk about this graph except me and our movement and our campaign? Because this graph represents the suffering of American people. Kennedy doesn't give a fuck about your suffering. Donald Trump doesn't give a fuck about your suffering. Obama doesn't give a fuck about your suffering.
All right. So again, I apologize for the language. One thing about Dr. Shiva, even though he's an intellectual, he understands to just throw some real harsh stuff for the working class who are frustrated. People are frustrated. This is the essence of frustration. This guy, if anything, channels the frustration, but he's got ideas. He's not just, out there. A lot of people who follow Donald Trump believe that, Trump's got their back and Trump is speaking truth to power. Is Trump part of that power structure to some degree? Maybe to a lesser degree. I mean, he's still standing. I mean, they didn't take him into custody when he went up to New York. I mean, was that a show trial? Was that just to, humiliate the people that follow him just enough so maybe Ron DeSantis becomes the nominee? I don't know. I don't really have a solution to that. All I know is there is something really wrong, and it's been brewing for decades, and we are not the country that anyone thinks we are. If you think we're just the stars and stripes, red, white, and blue, apple pie, Chevrolet, we are this, that's gone. I mean, you got to go way back to find that. And even that was a temporary illusion. And you have to continually fight, for just your basic human rights. And right now, it's the air, it's the water, it's energy, it's your health, it's your freedom, and it's censorship all over the place. So I think he's really onto something here: truth, freedom, and health. Again, doesn't mean I won't be listening to what RFK Jr. says. I will, but this has really kind of blown the doors off of what I, was hoping was maybe legitimate alternative. And there are going to be a lot of people who still latch on to RFK Jr. I do think his speech was a good start. It was definitely well put together, and that was him not using a teleprompter. But Dr. Shiva, if you thought that RFK Jr. was based, Dr. Shiva is like, he's kind of on his own. That's what makes this very interesting to me, because I feel some days like I'm on my own. Like nobody thinks like I do. I talk to other people about like the war in Ukraine, and they look at me like, "What? But we've got to beat the Russians." And I'm like, "Why? Why do we have to beat the Russians again? And do you know about the corruption in Ukraine? Oh, the good people of Ukraine, they're really, this is. I mean, yeah, there are good citizens, good people in Ukraine, but the government there is one of the most corrupt governments in the entire world." And you'll say, well, so is Russia. They've got corruption there too. Russia has unity. That's why Russia and China and other countries are getting together, because they feel they're a stronger bloc than we are with all of our allies. And they are. They're Russia and China alone, that's game, set, match. So I'm thinking Dr. Shiva is trying to take this from the bottom up and change the way we do politics. Is that possible? Is that possible in anyone's lifetime? Is it possible for him to get on the ballot in all 50 states? Does he understand the legal battle that will ensue? The Republicans are going to see, the Democrats, I don't think, are going to lose too many supporters to Dr. Shiva. The Republicans, the independents, the libertarians, the progressives who are fed up. Tucker Carlson did this story about like the Black Panther Party or something. Black socialists couldn't speak out against the Ukraine war. So guess what? You're getting hit on all sides. If you speak truth in one area, you're going to get shut down. It's going to be called Russian disinformation. I'm really afraid of promoting Russia in any way. I mean, because these people will shut you down. They will come after you if you say anything positive about Russia, and, the interviews I've done with Scott Ritter, I don't know if I should keep doing interviews with Scott Ritter. It's not because I don't think what he's saying is correct and this information doesn't need to get out. I think it does. The problem is the consequences could be really disastrous for me personally. I mean, the viewership, obviously, it's not like I put out content all the time on this channel, but certainly I think there's been some kind of a throttle, a regulator put on my stuff. And Dr. Shiva on Twitter, he says the same thing. So anyway, folks, I think you should look into Dr. Shiva at vashiva.com. This is the guy who's completely out on his own, and he understands politics. He understands systems and symptoms, for that matter. And I think he's really articulate, and he channels the frustration of a lot of us who feel politically homeless. And just, it's not that you couldn't just find a political home and stay there. It's just that it's just going through the motions. It's another adventure in, it's just insanity. It's doing the same thing over and over again. And this time it'll be better. And, 2024, Trump 2024, Kennedy, yeah, he's going to upend the system, and then the system is going to crush everything. And I'm also worried it's just going to crush Dr. Shiva. And if it does, then you might as well just sit by yourself. You got your bowl filled with black pills. Maybe you can get some black M&Ms and make it, a fun thing to do. Just eat all the M&Ms and then get a sugar high and pass out, and then wake up and it'll all go away, right? And just all be better. So yeah, that's my video. Dr. Shiva, very entertaining and very smart. Gets a little wonky at times, but that's just another indication that this isn't your typical politician, because he's definitely not a politician.